Hey, welcome back to the show. And joining us today is returning guest Mario Innecco of Innecco64 on YouTube, the home of alternative economics and contrarian views, where he covers the markets, monetary policy, precious metals, economics, as well as the geopolitical arena. Mario, it's great to see you again. How you been?
I've been well, Christian, and it's great to be speaking with you again as well.
Well, I always enjoy hearing your thoughts, and I know when I was first getting started, kind of on my journey, trying to figure out the financial markets, being totally new to it, you were one of the first people that really helped introduce me to concepts like central banks, et cetera, that I had been totally bereft of, as I think a lot of people are out there in the world today, so to speak. Um, that being said, I figured if you can kind of situate us on your latest thoughts as it relates to what's going on, whether you want to start off with markets, kind of the geopolitical, events potentially going on. Epstein files, we're hearing a lot of information about that and the potential psyop associated with that. Civil strife, UK, how is that going? And so I figured I'd let you take the mic from here.
Yeah, in terms of the economy and the markets worldwide, I think the major story is the fact that the world's splitting apart. Globalization is no more, and we're getting blocks, right? We're getting the Monroe Doctrine back. The U.S. wants to control North and South America and even maybe Greenland. And the Middle East still, and the rest of the world, they're going to leave it to China and Russia. Uh, and globalization made it so that for many decades, the West didn't really care about securing natural resources, processing it, like finding it, exploring. But I think one good thing about the Trump administration is that they've realized that, and they're doing everything they can to uh, basically restart the U.S. again uh, in terms of resources. So, yeah, there's a war out there for securing all these critical minerals, and that includes gold, silver, copper, and many other things. And I think the continent that's going to be left out for now is Europe, unfortunately, because we're right in the middle. Um, yeah, and we don't have that many natural resources. We've kind of alienated the Russians with what's going on in the Ukraine. And yeah, what else? And yeah, there's so much going on, Christian. I could switch over now to the Epstein files. That's another big thing. I mean, that's something that I'm not surprised about because I've looked into these things for many years, but it's actually now coming out. And I think what we have there is just the tip of the iceberg. It's one of the guys involved in this globalist, how can I say, government, and it shows how politicians on both sides of the aisle, everywhere in the West, they're just basically controlled by the intelligence services, not just from Israel, but also from the US, the UK. And there used to be a guy I used to read. His name was Christopher Story. He was in the UK. He was an advisor to Margaret Thatcher back when she was prime minister, economic advisor. And I read some of his books. I even spoke to him, and he said the world is run through a system of synarchy. And I asked him what that meant. And basically, it's ruled by a secret cabal. And he said the intelligence services are they're the ones in charge. And you mentioned that you learned about central banks from watching me. Central banks basically are the financial arm of these people. So yeah, and unfortunately, um, control is of the people who are supposedly our leaders is done through blackmail, right? And I don't have to go through through the horrible details about what Epstein and other people were involved. But basically, that's where we are in a nutshell. And I think there are a lot of people who are angry about this. They've lost faith and confidence in our leaders, be it political, like financial, or even academic leaders. But you never know. These people, they've been at it for so long that it could be some kind of psyop where they get so much information out that people, yeah, they know about it, but they want to just get on with their lives, right? So you never know these people.
Yeah, I was going to comment in that. I was listening to, well, somebody had posted something on X, and I would totally share it. And I guess probably I should have it up so I can share it on the screen. But it was really interesting how he unpacked and mentioned how the whole Epstein release files is a psyop in his opinion on it, and that these people that are part of this cabal, this clique, uh, are not going to allow something to be released unless there is unless they have methodically thought it through and that there is some method to the madness. And that's what I surmise, is that it's maybe they're getting rid of lower middle management or whatever, people that are associated, and then to your point, it's only the tip of the iceberg. It does not go dive further and further down that rabbit hole. Um, so that also the release of it, certain numbers. You hear a lot of people talk about numerology. I know it might sound out there to some viewers, but numerology and certain things of that nature that are, or gematria, that are incorporated by the click. And I'll also add that it was also very interesting to see certain topics covered, some of the rituals being alluded to, and to me, that's further corroboration as it relates to what I had been hearing from other guests and seeing and having listened to. So it's interesting, Mario, to see it enter more of the public discourse.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of people are aware of it, but at the same time, of some people, they don't care, and they, here in the UK, it is affecting things because the prime minister, he uh, he appointed, when he was elected and came into power in '04, he appointed Peter Mandelson, who was a really close associate of Epstein, as ambassador to the US. And last year he had to resign because it started coming out. And now there's talk that he might have to resign, the prime minister. So it is affecting it here. And I mean, there have been other public figures in the UK in the past that have been involved with, the activities that Epstein was involved with. So people are aware of this, but um, people just seem it's like a Stockholm syndrome kind of thing. They just keep voting and electing these people back into power.
Yeah, I just thought I'd share my own metamorphosis, if you will, from looking at it from left, right, or at least over here in the States, right, Democrats, Republicans, and looking at one side as being kind of the enemy, so to speak. Then realizing no, they're both kind of this, they're both the same in many respects. And then realizing, going further, that okay, wow, there's a transnational group that is a-religious that is involved in a myriad of different activities, nefarious in nature, of course. And this is some of the most powerful, both elected and unelected people out there in the world. And it's funny how, I think of the saying, how all roads lead to Rome. It seems all roads lead to this clique. And everyone's trying to point their finger as a what's which group is this, or which group is that. But I guess, yeah, at the end of the day, all you can do is position yourself in such a way where you're just personal sovereignty wise, you enhance that and help the person next to you.
Yeah, as I think the important thing is that you're aware of what's going on and position yourself and your family and friends in a way that you can survive and maybe even thrive a bit. And you mentioned all roads lead to Rome, and we were speaking before we started. that it could be literally all roads lead to Rome, right? Because
Yeah,
there's a lot
yeah.
of speculation about these old Roman black nobility or whatever, or bloodline families. They're still very powerful, I think, and no one really talks much about them. It's always the usual people that keep getting blamed. And the other thing, Christian, is politics. This you're saying that doesn't matter if you're conservative or Republican or Democrat or conservative or Labor here in the UK. They're all like controlled by the same cabal, and I think it's part of this mechanism of divide and conquer. They keep the public divided at each other's throat, not just politically, but also ethnically, religious wise, um, sports wise. You support that team. And that's an old strategy used back in ancient Rome. So, they're still at it. And yeah, people keep buying into it, unfortunately.
I thought I'd also add that they say Hollywood is a reflection of society. I guess more or less is the saying. And I saw someone shared with me a clip uh, of a movie. I guess it came out in 1976. It was called Network or The Network, something to that effect. And there was a scene. I haven't seen the whole movie. I just saw the clip where guys brought into a room and he's chastised and told that he needs to step in line, and he doesn't understand that it's all controlled. It's all and I feel like that in Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut, and perhaps a number of different films like They Live are giving the public insight into more or less kind of the makeup, even if it's kind of like an allegory as it relates to the power structure, power dynamics in the world.
Yeah, Stanley Kubrick, Eyes Wide Shut, he passed away not too long after that movie came out, didn't he? I mean,
Mhm.
so yeah, that's one of the ways to try to expose what's going on is through art or fiction. You make it like fictional, but people need to read into it. The message. A lot of people don't, and people just say, "Oh, it's just fiction," but that could be truth as well.
What are perhaps some other things, whether you want to touch back on Epstein stuff or things indirectly or directly associated with kind of an awakening, if you will, a great awakening whereby people are just more aware of kind of things going on? I mean, what are some other nodes or things that you feel are really important that perhaps people are overlooking?
Well, like in terms of the what's coming out from the Epstein files, or
Yeah, sure, sure. Just in general, just other things as well. Yeah.
yeah, I think maybe the powers that be, the cabal, whatever you want to call them, maybe they didn't realize that the internet was going to be such a powerful tool. I think they looked at the internet more as a control mechanism, but I think it might have like gotten out of hand for them. It's a little bit like the printing press back in the 1500s. It kind of led to an awakening, religious awakening in Europe. Um, Maybe that all the information that we get, maybe these people didn't realize all their secrets are going to come out through the internet, through these so maybe there will, maybe maybe things will change. I'm a little bit cynical because it seems to always keep going. It's been like this for thousands of years, but who knows? There's the word in apocalypse, which really means the unmasking. Really, the true definition of it. Maybe this could be it, but I think time will tell. And yeah, so that could be, the internet, I think, and that's why we're seeing here in Europe in particular, they're trying to censor the internet, but even in the US as well, there is censorship. I've seen. uh, someone saying that you can't use the Z word to you know, ZIO. You can't call someone a Z, but the person that is a Z can say that he is a Z. So even in the US, there's some censoring, and I think that's because, yeah, they're kind of losing control of the narrative, and it's really tough because there's going to be a lot of platforms, social media that you think are free and that you can say everything you want, but you never know. These people could be behind that too. So yeah,
Well, you just reminded me of our conversation before we went live, so to speak, in that I suspect that a lot of the people in the air quotes alternative media arena, specifically people with just a massive following, I mean, million plus or what have you, and they have kind of positioned themselves as these go-to sources, right, for the intel. But I am finding that they're either in two camps. Camp A is they are compromised, or camp B is they'll give you enough that's it's like the PG version of alternative takes on things, but they will completely avoid certain topics and topics that I've become more aware of that you just can't like. You mentioned the Z topic, which obviously is being censored, but also people are more collectively talking about it that we see mutually. But I'm also finding there's other topics that people just do not go down. You just don't. And what's so interesting is also my journey is doing the show Mario is how, it's funny as being over here in the US, it's always proselytized that it's a free country and, freedom of speech and all this. And you quickly realize, especially when you create content, that is not the case at all.
no, I remember during COVID, I did a video and it wasn't anything controversial. Well, I guess it was for YouTube, but they deleted that video. So yeah, no freedom of speech there.
Yeah. Now, over in where you're at, over in the UK, how are things? How is would you say that the man on the street doing? What are you seeing out there? I mean, I hear a lot about strife from at least over here across the pond. I mean, what's kind of the boots on the ground take?
Yeah, I mean, the UK or England, let's say, it's almost like there's two different countries. You have the Greater London, and you call it the M25. It's an orbital, like motorway or highway around Greater London and the counties around that motorway. It's called the Southeast. Uh, yeah, it's quite a prosperous area, so people are still doing well. But you go further north or even south to the coast, south coast of England, and many places are like falling apart. So it's a tale of two countries, really. And even within London, that there's a lot of wealth, but there's a lot of poverty as well. And I think generally, uh, the public is starting to get fed up. And similar to the US, we've had uncontrolled immigration. And we've had, we have high taxation. We have a lot of these climate change, net zero regulations and taxes that makes life even harder and harder. And I think the average man and woman is getting fed up. But it's still, I mean, it's still a nice place to live. But you watch some YouTube videos of like places outside London, and they look like third world countries, totally abandoned. And I guess 100 years ago or more, this country was like the head of the biggest empire at the time, and now, like I think the U.S. unfortunately, well, the U.K. has been going downhill longer, of course, than the U.S. So we're further down down the slope, and yeah, it's becoming more and more. Yeah, you can see the difference in. Yeah, there's a a few that are very wealthy, and the majority have nothing. It's becoming almost like a third world country, I would say.
Yeah, I've been hearing that we have this K-shaped economy, and the bifurcation between the haves and have-nots is becoming wider and wider. And I had a friend of mine make a comment that I thought was very interesting, Mario. He said, AI and these in this automation is like mechanized slavery, and he made a great analogy in that. He made a reference to I know people always reference Rome, so I'll reference it for it. He mentioned how so many people, I think a third of Rome was on the public dole, and I guess that was a product of all the slaves being brought in, whereby that owner, the slave, then is like the AI today in that it's free, it's at no cost to him pretty much, and he can extract resources, etc. And he doesn't need to hire actual people or or citizens, if you will, to render that work. And so it's kind of interesting that comparison today in that AI is kind of like this mechanized slavery in a sense for those who are privy, perhaps. Yes,
So it's like the bread and circus will be the UBI, I guess.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I just thought that was such an interesting analogy. And then I have also been hearing it more and more in that if people are not in a great spot financially, or they're not where they want to be, it behooves them now more than ever to really work their butt off, because as some have speculated that right now we have social mobility more or less in the world, and that could be eroded greatly with this AI. And so obviously you've alluded to, and many of others have as well, those with assets are going to do great, and if you don't, you're going to be on the UBI. You're going to be on the getting the grain, so to speak, from the public dole. And wow, what a what a
Yeah, I think the people who are pushing the AI AI industry, it's been done without, they're not really thinking about the consequences, and I think that's quite serious. They don't seem to care that what will happen to billions of people as long as they're in charge and they profit from it, and they can always throw people a few scraps to keep them happy. Yeah, so it's but at the same time, I guess um, one could argue that it could actually help people become more productive. Who knows? I could be wrong as well. I'm sure they said the same thing when the world was industrializing back in the 19th century. Yeah, a lot of occupations disappeared, but then you got new ones. I think uh, uh, well, let's say jobs that people did before industrial revolution, afterwards, they found other jobs like, yeah. So like, what's the name of the people who do the horses shoes? I forgot.
like a horseshoe.
Blacksmiths.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it? Yeah. So
Hmm.
blacksmiths, yeah, we I guess you have to edit this. Like back during before the industrial revolution, blacksmiths were very important. People used horses and carriages, and then you got the automobile. They eventually became the mechanics. So you could argue that as well about AI, and but we'll have to see.
No doubt, no doubt. What obviously you don't have a crystal ball. You follow the markets a lot more closely and intimately than I do, candidly. And or I guess even outside of the markets, where do you see kind of the puck going here within the next few years? I mean, if you could just be highly speculative as it relates to kind of the world, and hear a lot about digital IDs, almost like this digital gulag too, with obviously we have 5G, 6G, presumably down the horizon, et cetera. I mean, just what do you, have you kind of paint your mental model picture?
In terms of the like the system for the markets and finance, yeah, I think these globalists, the people who are all kind of intertwined with Epstein, people like Larry Fink and others, they want to digitize or tokenize everything so that they can keep control of people's assets, and I think that's dangerous. And I think the only thing that might save us is that the current system uh, implodes. We have like a collapse of the currencies that they don't foresee the powers that be, because I think a lot of them are so arrogant that they think they can switch things around and go to a new system and that nothing bad will happen. Yeah, so that's my hope, that we have a collapse and people lose complete faith and confidence in these same people that are trying to, uh, yeah, change the system into a digital, like a prison for us, a tokenized future. Yeah, but they're definitely going to push it. And I think the the best we can do as individuals is to try to, yeah, unfortunately, we can't get out of the system completely, but we can try to have a foot outside this system. And by that, I mean have some like physical gold and silver or hard assets, and or be more involved in your community and do stuff personally with others, like your neighbors and friends, like even bartering to some extent, so that you don't have to always be like connected to the big corporations. So I think that's one of the ways to fight them. It's the odds of succeeding are, they're not good, but you never know what we're going to get in terms of a collapse. We could get a collapse, and then these people will lose total control.
What are some things, perhaps, as it relates to the markets that you are tracking and following, or even societally, that are kind of canaries in the coal mine?
Yeah, I mean, the debt, I think, is the big thing. The world as a whole has over $300 trillion in debt. That's not the U.S., the whole world. And I think the world's GDP is 100 trillion, so 300%. So I think the debt, and the most important thing about the debt, because you could argue if interest rates and bond yields stay pretty steady and relatively low, we can just keep carrying this debt. So the thing to look at is the bond market. If you start seeing the bond market drop in prices and yields go up, then that's a really bad sign. We had that happen in 2022, especially. I think that was a year where stocks and bonds fell, and in the last three years or so, the bond market stabilized, but we are at a lot higher rates than we were. Like from '08 to 2021, rates were like between 0 and 2 and 3%, and now it's more like 4 or 5. So if those rates start taking off and going more towards 6 or 7, I think that's a really bad sign for the system.
No doubt. Wanted to also ask you, perhaps some other things, even outside of the markets, just kind of circling back to earlier topics that we kind of covered. What are some conversations that you have had, or things that you've come across that have really changed the way you've looked at things, perhaps in recent times, and or other pressing things that are alarming to you as it relates to just kind of this matrix that we're in? I know it's kind of vague.
No, it's a good question, and I think my attitude towards things, to be a contrarian, to ask questions, has helped me. But I mean, one thing in the last 5, 6 years that I've realized is that almost everything we're told by the powers that be, you need to do the opposite. Everything is a lie. and COVID was a big part of that. But even before that, I knew that already, but now it's even more confirmed for me. And it's not just in the field of medicine, but in the financial sphere, in the academic sphere, everything, entertainment, culture. You really gotta like ask questions, I think. And yeah, so that's what's um, yeah, been a big thing for me in the last few years.
Yeah, yeah, same here as well. And for me, it really began really a year ago. Believe it or not, I mean, how I've been doing this since breakfast. So, but I'll comment in that it is interesting how, at least for my journey, it was figuring out the economics of things and then figuring out, I'm private central banks and then who's above that. But it's funny how it also bleeds into other areas. You pointed out medicine, who controls the medical industry, entertainment. You look at a lot of stuff coming out of Hollywood, and and as just as a side note, I'm blown away by how much I feel like I guess we Americans, we don't really fully appreciate or grasp how much of Hollywood and American consumerism and fill in the blank is exported. Like, it just blows my mind, to talk to people from overseas. That's just crazy to me how much one country is exerting so much influence, and I don't think it's the best influence. Especially a lot of the stuff that's put out there by Hollywood. When we see that in a reflection of Western society's decline. But it's funny how it bleeds into so many other topics where you just question it. I was going to ask you, have you received a flack from family, or has your family, by like extended family, have they been pretty receptive to if you share this information with them? Or I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem. There are some people in my family who I just don't talk about it because like one of my sisters, one of the, but the other sister, she kind of listens, but and yeah, so I don't really have a problem with that. And one thing I forgot to say as well, I didn't mention nutrition as well is something that I've learned a lot in the last few years about, and how everything seems to be upside down. What they've told us is healthy to eat, right? But yeah, family, no. I mean, I would say, yeah, we don't really have much of a problem. And a lot of times, because I have family abroad and I don't see them very often. So when I go to see them or they come here, we just enjoy our company and, don't really get too much into these kinds of topics.
Sure thing. And then I also wanted to ask you, to people that want to better immerse themselves in some of the sources that you go to for just trying to better understand things, whether it's market related, geopolitics, society. Could you share perhaps what websites or accounts you follow, et cetera, to arm yourself with information?
Yeah, I mean, books are really interesting as well. And I have a playlist on my YouTube channel, my book recommendation. So I recommend you watch that if you have time. There's many, I think books are really interesting to read. In terms of, I mean, YouTube channels that I listen to, yeah. For example, geopolitically, I listen to the Duran. Uh, I don't know if you've heard of him. There's quite a big
Hmm.
channel. One guy is one guy's Alexander, the other is Alex. They're like Greek, but one lives in the UK and the other in Cyprus. I like those guys. Um, and economics. I mean, who do I listen to? Quite a few people, but usually on the same alternative, like me. I can't think on the top of my head. I watch sometimes. We were talking about it before we came on. Redacted. I think that's quite interesting. Even Tucker Carlson. I mean, he's brought on some very interesting people. I'm not too sure about him, but he seems to be legitimate. I used to listen a lot like 20 years almost ago to Infowars and Alex Jones, but now I don't anymore because I think Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. He's a bit too, yeah, he's too in your face, and everything is like, oh, this is going to happen. And, I think there's a lot of fear mongering there from him. But yeah, there's so many. I mean, yeah, uh, I can't really think at the top of my head right now, but I definitely don't follow mainstream media on YouTube, like the BBC and stuff like that. And I find as well that on X, the kind of people that I follow, we look at the same thing. So a lot of times they post stuff that is really interesting for me. So I think that's another way of trying to find out more about things, is that you follow the kind of people that question things. And then you're going to see a lot more content or posts that make sense.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. I thought I'd share some of the books that I've been reading. Is let me so I'll share with you here. Actually, I picked up Zachary K. Hubbard's books, Letters and Numbers, which is interesting, and he puts forth that a lot of
The gematria.
that's correct. Yeah, he postulates a lot of it. Yeah.
Yeah, there
So
is a
so I've been
guy on YouTube I used to watch. I think it could be this guy you mentioned. Yeah,
mhm.
about he says that a lot of the sports events are kind of programmed.
That's correct. Yeah, it's very interesting, and I've been trying to understand it better. That's one of the topics. I mean, he has shared with me both on and off camera, in that a lot of people do not want to have that covered on their platform. Like he's been censored, and but it's very interesting because I know that is very important to the cabal, very very important. And I thought I'd share. This kind of sounds cheesy, the title, but I just thought I'd share this with you. This is just a great reminder. The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. I mean, just yeah, that is a phenomenal, phenomenal. I couldn't rec best $4 I ever spent. Best, yeah, I'm serious. Yeah. And then I highly recommend the book to anyone listening. If you haven't read it, we always hear about that. I know it sounds kind of cheesy, me bringing that topic up, but it's so true. It's so true. And then I just picked up this one. This is by John Hammer. I'm actually having him on next week. So I read through it. It's The Falsification of History. So I was reading through that, and then
Got this one here.
oh
She's been on my channel, Susan Bradford. It's the
oh,
Black Rock Bamboozle.
I haven't heard of it.
Do with the what they want to do with the system. I'm still
Hmm.
reading it, but
Mm.
one YouTube channel I just remembered. I don't watch him very regularly, but he's very out there. He doesn't believe in the political system. It's called his name is Larkin Rose.
Mark and Rose.
Yeah, and
I'm gonna.
he's done a video about the Jones plantation. That's really good. So yeah, he's got no political affiliation. He's really interesting. I recommend that.
Now, the Jones plantation, is that like Jonestown reference, or what is that in regards to?
No, it's a video he did, Larkin Rose, about how we live on a plantation and we think we are actually in charge, but the plantation owner, they hire a manager and they say you can vote, but only for this and this, and you're still in the plantation. So
I'm gonna have to check them out. And then I'd also share. I hear a lot about this guy, Manly P. Hall, and I've been very so the secret teachings of all ages. So this is actually a really great book, very interesting.
Masons,
Yeah,
right? Freemasons.
he covers covers like Rosicrucians and Pythagoras. I guess how he talked about how everything is numbers, everything in the universe is numbers. So just trying to understand everything outside of this Western paradigm that I've been brought up in.
Yeah, I mean math. I think math is the language of nature, really. Like if you look at, I don't know if you've looked into the Fibonacci numbers, and
Mhm.
it's all the proportions in nature are all the same, like 61 point, the golden mean. Yeah, it's very, and they don't teach that. The only reason I had learned about Fibonacci was when I started in the financial markets because we use it to do technical analysis. But they won't teach you at school about Fibonacci and things like that, or university.
Yeah, it's again, I'm finding more and more they don't teach so much. They really don't. I mean, even and I'll add because I know we're wrapping up here before time, but I was working on a master's in history, and it was a really and even though you might argue, what is the utility in going through traditional education, if you will, but one of the things that I learned, Mario, that was really interesting was how to break down a book, not just how to read it and consume it quickly, but also because they throw a lot of books at you, right, in a master's program, but also where are the sources from? Like picking up if I pick up a book, what primary sources are they using, or excuse me, what sources are they using? Then look at what sources is that book using, and then where was it published? When was it published? What is the context of? I mean, just
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
just
I yeah, I remember when I was younger, like I went to university or high school, you just picked up a book. They said, "Oh, get this book," and you just read it. But nowadays, when I buy a book or I want to know about the author. I want to know his background or her background. You got to ask a lot of questions, like you said. The sources are really important as well because they could use sources that are not really credible, and even though they might have a huge bibliography and footnotes, it might be all like not not real.
Oh, absolutely. I'd say that's one of the top things that I look at is, and I become more cognizant of that, is that providing receipts, right? That's like the new term people use, but providing sources. Where is the information coming from? Because there's so much stuff. I mean, even on X, I'll look at stuff like, man, is that really true? Like you're like, oh my gosh, and then you realize, okay, wait, this is a misquote or something's been tweaked. So yeah, it's boy, it's yeah, nothing is what it seems.
Times on X, you get like people put it out as a headline, and then you look into it, and it was something that happened 5 years ago, and they post it as if it happened today.
Yeah. Well, no doubt. Well, in light of time, is there anything else that you'd like to share?
Um, Not really. I mean, I would just emphasize that uh, what you said earlier about personal sovereignty. That's what you need to work on. And yeah, because I'm not being negative or a wimp or anything, but it's really hard to try to, as an individual, to change things, to change the world. You can't. But if you change yourself, that's a great step. I think if everyone thought like that, it would be a lot harder for the powers that be to control us.
100%. 100%. I thought the same way too. At the end of the day, there's only so much that I can do. So it's just helping, put your mask on first and then put the mask on of the person next to you, kind of thing, like in the airplane. Mario, how can people learn more about you and get in touch with you?
Yeah, I mean, my channel is Innecco 64 on YouTube. I post content there regularly, almost, well, virtually every day. And there are ways to contact me, like through Patreon. You can find my link to Patreon on my YouTube channel. And also, I'm on X. You can follow me there and contact me through the messaging service as well if you want through there. And yeah,
Well, I look forward to also your New York Times bestselling book whenever you release that.
yeah. People have said that you should write a book. Well, maybe one day.
There you go. Well, hey, I really enjoyed the conversation and appreciate you carving out the time to come on. Be well over there. And who knows, maybe if I'm over in Europe on the summer, I'll pay you a visit. Maybe we'll shoot something in person.
Great. Nice speaking with you, and all the best.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. And if you enjoyed the show, I encourage you to like, share, and follow if you found value in it. I also have a new show called Markets with Christian White, which is exclusively focused on the financial markets. If that is something of interest to you, I encourage you to check that out. And I always look forward to hearing your feedback and thoughts. And until next time, take care and be well.